Hey, how are you? Good. Good, 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 good. We got the chat open. Honoree, how's it going?
Great. I've had a great day so far. How about you?
It's been fantastic.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, doing all the things.
You write the words this morning?
No.
Word free morning? Okay.
Nah, yeah, it was a word-free morning, unfortunately.
Me
Eh,
too.
people don't want to hear my old man complaints, but I woke up like, oh, my back. I'm like, I can't move right and all this stuff. And so I was a little slower this morning than usual. What does that have to do with typing? I don't know. Is that a good enough set of excuses all in like 30 seconds?
I did a live class for coaches all around the world. That's what I was doing this morning. So I did not write any words this morning.
I was in course creator slash business owner mode all morning where it was like set up this event, do this thing, go to this site, work behind this thing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like back end stuff all day.
Yeah.
But
We'll get to the writing later.
I will get to the writing later. I am dying to write this next chapter. It's like get out. So
Ah, do your characters talk to you?
sort of. Not like anyone watching this, I don't want you to get concerned. I don't want you to be like, look, dude, I read your books, and if that person's talking to you, we need to talk, right? Like one of those things. But I have, let's put it this way. I like to plot enough where I get really excited about what's coming next. If I'm
Okay.
excited about what's coming next, then I know my readers are really going to enjoy it. So that's kind of my criteria for like chapter layouts, that I have to be excited about the next chapter so
Are
that my
you a
readers will enjoy it.
are you a plotter, pantser, or planter?
I think more of a plantser. I
That's what
have to,
I
yeah, I have to plot.
mm-hmm.
It's kind of like getting directions, right? It's like I have to know how to get from point A to point B. And I want to be familiar with the route. So I want to know everything I'm going to encounter on the way.
Yes.
But until I get in the car and start driving, I don't know that there's, an accident at an intersection or,
Right. You don't know what might come up.
right. And
Yeah.
honestly, and I think I said this recently somewhere at some point talking. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But oh, it was yesterday during Kent's event. I did a guest speaking for the Prosperous Writer slash Daily Writer group about fiction, and one of the things I told them was like, there's something that happens when you're writing. The characters come alive, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
and they start
Yeah.
doing things. And when they
They
start
do.
talking to each other and doing things, things happen that
You
you
weren't
didn't plan on.
you didn't plan on. Yeah.
Right. So you have to respect that, I think, in the writing. So when you're plotting, you have to know that's going to happen, and you have to have a flexible enough plot to allow that to happen. And that's kind of the
Yep.
way I work.
Yep. So
Hello, Wayne.
hello, Wayne. I'm watching Byron get in my new car.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
well, I don't know if you're as excited about that as I am about the dolphin emoji that Wayne is using intentionally to pick on my
Oh
Giants for losing last
no,
weekend.
Wayne, you can't pick on him like that, man. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you're joining us, Wayne, but yeah,
Thank you, Wayne.
thank you, Wayne. 'Cause I have to deal with it when he's upset, you know,
Yeah, I literally cry. I just call Honoree crying just to hear sobbing on
like
Voxer.
sobbing on the Voxer. Like, just, well, it says it's Lucas, but it's like it sounds like a sobbing man. I don't know what's happening.
Or woman. Sound like a sobbing woman. It could be. I don't know.
Well,
That might
there's
be happening.
wailing, so you don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? Who
I don't know.
really knows what's happening?
That's right. Right. Oh,
Nothing but shipmate love. Thank you, Wayne. Well,
mhm.
and isn't that a special relationship?
Yeah.
You want people to love you no matter whether you're great or bad? They're shipmates. They'll let you
Oh,
know
right.
every time.
Right. Right. So what are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh, what am I? Oh, I'm reading a wonderful. Well, I'm reading two things. I can't talk about one of them
Because
because it's yours and it's
oh,
not.
because one of them's mine.
I
Okay.
can't. It's in production. It's in production.
In production.
So all my nonfiction time right now is dedicated to reviewing something that is going to be amazing for writers. Um, Literally, that's what I spent my writing time this morning doing. Don't get nervous. I didn't exchange writing time for that. I made a conscious decision.
Okay.
I do
All right.
not want that guilt on my head.
Okay.
But I
need
made
more.
a conscious decision to dive into that a bit today.
Okay.
So that was one of the things I was doing. So that's my nonfiction reading right now, is this wonderful product that Honoree has
Well, it's a
produced.
week. It's actually a week from Monday. Can you believe? It comes out
Yeah.
10 days. In 10 days from tomorrow, the
Really?
book comes out. Yeah.
Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We
Go
can
ahead.
talk about it.
Go ahead. Say what you got to say. Say nice things.
You can talk about it.
Well,
Did you read the other one? I sent you a second one.
well, that's what I'm talking about. It begins with note.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. 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 I'm
Yeah.
not doing a whole advanced reader team for that. I'm just going to drop it
Okay.
like it's hot for sure. Yes.
Yes.
So yes, no, I haven't heard. Kent sent me. Okay, everyone, I have created, which will come out in November, the I Am a Writer notebook. It'll be like a full size workbook, journal, place to capture all of your ideas.
So
Um,
cool.
and I sent it to a few people, even in advance of proofreading, to see what they thought of it. So that's what you're talking about. I thought
That
you
is
were talking
exactly.
about the writer's block book, which comes out a week from Monday, but you're talking about
No.
notebook. Okay, all right.
Yes.
I'm new. It's my first day, so
Well, this is what happens when you work with a prolific writer. She's like, "Oh, which of my books that's in production right now are you talking about?"
well, there's another one too. I just got one back from Karen. I
Yeah.
just got the monetized book from Karen. So yes, there are three. There's writer's block, there's the notebook, and then there's monetized. So it's October, November, February. So yes, it's easy for me to be confused. And I would say blonde, except not blonde. Also,
Also, I'm not giving you any like details to go off.
some blonde people are make smarter moves than non-blonde people. So anyway, so what did you want to say, Lucas? I'm going to pull my foot out of my mouth and let you talk.
No, I have been enjoying that so much. I'm like, this is awesome.
Okay, so
So
tell me why. Because it's totally
I could okay. So
brain.
I've put some comments in there to just give you some yays. I'm happy to see this kind of stuff in the document. One of which is like almost like a contract with a person. So like one of the things I learned as a personal trainer that I thought was really funny because it's kind of similar to what happens in the service. Like when you join the military, they make you raise your right hand and swear, right? Defend the Constitution, all the things. And you sign these contracts. It's like, yes, I understand the obligation I'm committing
Yeah.
myself to. And then they're like, come to boot camp, right? Then in you go. And then it's it. Like you understand from that moment on what your obligation is. Now, when I was a trainer, we would have people that were willingly coming to us, and we knew it was going to be an extremely difficult thing for them.
Yep.
And we knew that they could only extract the value they put in. Like if they don't do the work, I could teach them, give them all the things, give them the greatest program, everything. But if they don't commit to doing everything we tell them to do the way they need to do it, they're not gonna succeed. So one of the things we used to use, which is a little bit of a mental thing, is a contract. And it's not like a legally binding contract, like you're going to pay me X amount of money to give you this program. There's one of those as well. But this particular contract was almost more important. I'd give it to them and say, this is your contract between you and you about what you're going to do. And I am going to do all of these things exactly like you said. You're going to sign it. I'm going to sign it.
Right.
And it's almost more of like a qualitative
Yeah.
agreement.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Than it is like something binding or legal or business or whatever. So,
Right.
but there's a mental shift that happens when someone commits. And in your notebook, one of the very first things in there is to me a commitment statement. Although you don't call it that in there. You're like, I want you to write this out. Right? Like get your pen out and do this.
Yeah.
And then you tell them something very specific to write, which I will not be the spoiler. And when they do that, they're making a conscious decision to commit to something moving forward. So there's things like that in the book that are very effective that just aren't going to happen unless you sit down with this book and do these things one after another.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
was that vague enough, but also detailed enough?
I like it. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Well, and so where that came from, so the background behind it. So I'll just go ahead and say that in the beginning of the book, I encourage writers to write, I am a writer, and to talk about what it is that you write. Make that commitment to yourself.
Right.
And where that came from was years and years ago, before I ever was writing my first book as a business and executive coach, I was working with the assistant to one of my clients. So I had a client who was a bigwig in a company, and she had an assistant who wanted to be a writer. And she said, would you just do a little coaching with her and encourage her? And I said, absolutely. And so we went to PF Chang's. I mean, I remember it because we ended up working on a book together later. But I remember having her stand up in front of the table. So we were in an elevated table. She's like, you want me to stand up? And I was like in front of PF Chang's, God and everybody. Stand up and say, I am a writer. Like, claim that for yourself. And so she went on to write many things, and we did the Successful Single Mom Cookbook together. And she contributed the grilled cheese 100 ways part of the book, which was really fun, and went on to become a writer, but she was afraid to say it. And I think with writing, and I'm trying to think if there's any other thing where people are afraid to claim that they are something before there might be physical evidence of their actuality, right? Of their identity. Because you can say, you know, I'm a reader because you're reading a book, but you wouldn't say I'm a writer even though you're writing. It's like, well, I haven't been paid to write, or I haven't published a book yet, so I must not be a writer. And so that's where that came from. The notebook is designed to be a place to keep all of your ideas, to overcome blocks and barriers, to outline, to keep track of things. I hope it's going to be as cool as I intended it to be by the time it's done.
There you go.
Yeah,
I'm sure it will be.
It's in proofreading right now. Jen has it, and she's proofreading it, and then it will go to Dino for formatting, which is really where the magic happens, right? Is that he takes my ideas. And so have you been all the way through it?
No, I'm
okay.
Not all the way through yet, so don't spoil me.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see because you're 3 books in, which some people don't get to 3 books after 5 years. So you've done that. It's all in the same calendar year, right? February, March. When did we do the first one?
February 27th.
February 27th. Yes. And then we did Bang Bang in September.
Yep. Yeah.
Because you went from a normal sane person to a crazy person who published 2 books in 1 month, in one nonfiction, one fiction. So, I mean, I understood you until that point, and then the wheels came off the bus.
Well, in fairness to people watching this, I didn't write them in a month, but
no.
You
were working on them all year for sure. They just
I did make a really bad decision. Yeah, I made the good, but like exciting, but like, boy, are you having fun, right? Like decision to launch 2 books in the same month, which I don't advise, by the way.
Yeah, it's kind of like the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey, where he's drinking all the Red Bull. And he's like, Red Bull, Red Bull, Red Bull, Red Bull. And then like they're running on the path, and then they come upon him and he's just face planted. It's like, that's what happens. What happens when you do too many projects all at the same time? So you're reading The Notebook, you read Writer's Block, but what fiction are you reading?
I'm reading The Belladonna Invitation by Rose Biggin, and it is a beautiful but dark gothic story about a girl who sees a woman of very great stature in society in an opera house, and she's like dying to get to know who that is and all the things. So she manages to convince this lady that she can achieve some things for this woman that may seem a little impossible to others. She's willing to do things to help this woman gain some more fame and fortune and all the things. But what she doesn't realize at that point is that the woman who has all this political stature is also involved in some pretty wild stuff, like poison salons, which are these exclusive salons where people in the highest echelons of society who have all the money can afford to do things that are honestly like Russian roulette. But it's so exclusive, and it's so taboo that they're willing to spend exorbitant amounts of money to basically tempt fate with these poison salons. And
Is
it's
this a real
wild.
thing, or did you make it up?
No, she made it up. Yeah.
Oh, she made it up. She made up poison salons.
Yeah, I interviewed her for my fiction podcast, and I asked her, which is a little bit of a spoiler because I haven't published that episode yet, but it's okay. So I was like, where did this come from? Did these exist? Tell me these existed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, but anyways, there's this really good theme in the book about like access, and sometimes like people that have that much access to resources start to do things that are the worst thing they could possibly be doing, but it's so exclusive and it's so wild that they need that to feel alive and
Yeah.
to feel like they can do things that no one else can. And I said the irony in that is that you can literally do that for free at any time, like tempt fate, right? It's like, so there's a lot of
Yeah, you
thinking
can play in the road.
Yeah. Russian roulette, like all the things, right? So
Yeah.
but the crazy, but I guess the cool part is it's very beautifully written. It's a true Gothic writing. Rose is just a beautiful writer. Her prose is gorgeous, and she is in the UK. And to me, there's nothing better than a good UK Gothic writer. Like when it comes to tasting a story, it's really good.
Interesting. Who's joined us? Who is that? Is that Renee? Is it Renee? Is it Jen? Is it Karen? They'll let us know. You've still got a cough, my friend.
Yeah. Who are you, Facebook user?
Yeah, who are you?
Yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Identify yourself. We can't see who you are. So I finished my trilogy. Oh, there's Renee. I finished my trilogy of Jason Matthews' trilogy, which started with Red Sparrow. It's a Russian spy thriller. He was a CIA agent. And I was thinking, well, how many Renees are there? Of course it's Renee Rambo. I know who you are. I thought, well, let me go see if he has anything else. He doesn't have any other books published, Lucas. And so my little heart was broken because I thought, oh, I'm going to go to his website and I'm going to encourage him to write more books. And he died. He's passed away. And so I'm so sad. And it also made me think, how many people did not write their books before they were not able to write their books? You better get busy. So, I am now listening to a book, which is delightful because it's read by a British narrator. I heard the author on a podcast, and it is called, it's coming up. We're thinking.
The wheels are turning. The smoke is coming out of the machine.
The Housekeepers. Yes. And it's all about these housekeepers who I guess stage a heist during an event. So it's like, in other words, be nice to the staff or they'll rip you off. But it's delightful. It's a delightful, I listened to the author. The author sounded delightful. And I happened to be able to borrow the audiobook from my library. I had a library book borrowed. Oh. And I thought, let me go see if I can find it through my library system. If not, I'll just use a credit, on Audible. But I found it through the library system. So I've been listening to it a little at a time, which is wonderful. I've really gotten bit by the audio fiction book bug. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'd only been listening to nonfiction. So in nonfiction, I am listening to a recommendation by John Stange, which I was going to recommend to you this morning. It is called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Right.
I'm still listening to that. I have 2 hours and 26 minutes left. So I may be half the way, a little more than half the way through the book. And I'm enjoying that. That's a treadmill read right now. So
that's a good way to do it.
So I did not treadmill this morning because of my presentation.
Right.
So
and we have
Hi,
Steve Waddell. Hey, Steve.
Hi, Waddell.
Steve, we're one step closer to that happening. Becky sent me something in an email yesterday. It was like, hey, let's look at some availability. So good chance it might happen as soon as next week. We'll see.
Oh,
Thanks for tuning in, dude. By the way, Steve is currently working
on
to
the book.
publish a book. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, by the way, if you want to drop any links in the chat, Steve, feel free to.
Yeah, for sure. We are able to help.
That's right.
Yeah.
So your presentation this morning, it was on marketing your business with your book, correct?
It was marketing your coaching business with your book.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about the concepts of the two jobs of a book. One is to educate the reader without ever having a conversation with you. And the second is to drive business to you in whatever way you have designed the book to make, right? So if that's the case, if the job of the book is to help people, right, all the readers and the author, then a book in motion is money in motion, and a book at rest is money at rest. So I was talking about how to get the book in motion using some very easy and effective tactics for executing on that strategy of getting the book out into the world and turning it into revenue. And
were you speaking specifically about nonfiction, or just more so about nonfiction, or is this,
Well, it was for coaches. So coaches that belong to wbexcoaching.com. It's their paid summit. They have a paid annual summit. This is my second year presenting. And it was for coaches who I would imagine are using nonfiction books only. So books around something related to their coaching practice, using the book to generate new clients.
That's perfect. And I love what you one of the most brilliant things I heard you say when we first got to sit in a room together was the book in motion is money in motion. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I love that quote so much. I quoted you in Monetize Your Book with a Course and said, hey, Honoree says this. If you substitute the word book for courses, it's the same thing, right? It's like you have to be actively marketing your book in order to generate interest and royalties and all the things.
Yeah.
But to get readers, you have to talk to readers. And when that book can also bring you clients, it changes things a little bit. It doesn't change the work, but it changes the outcome.
Well, it should change what goes in the book. It should inform the front matter and the back matter. It should inform the content of the book, or what you're sprinkling in the content of the book to make it an effective driver of subscribers, of clients, of customers. I think all of that is very important. And then, of course, if it sits there, if it's just sitting on your shelf, it's looking very nice on your shelf, but it's not in motion. It's resting. And you want money in motion. You want your book in motion, so there's money in motion. And the guy who was hosting said, when you have your book baby, and I was like, no, it's not your baby. It is your business asset. And that business asset should be out there, much like if you hire a salesperson. The thing you say to a salesperson is you should be on the phone or out in the world. You should not be at your desk. Do not be at your desk unless you are collecting information to go and take action on it. So your book should always be in motion. And so there are some passive ways that you can get your book in motion, and there are some active ways you can get your book in motion.
So when we say a book in motion, you're meaning like you're actively promoting the book? You're putting the book in front of people. You're like, what do you kind of wrap? And I'm guessing it'd be a high level points. But what do you consider how do you know when your book's in motion?
Your book is in motion because it's not on your shelf. It's being passed, downloaded, opened and read, right? It's in motion, right? Someone has it besides you. If I have a copy of my book, that means someone else besides me does not have a copy of a book. Now, the beautiful part about this is you might have a limited number of physical books that you have in your possession. You can always get more. But you can, like your bank account, can have an unlimited amount of money in it, because they never call you and say, oh, you have too much money in your account. You've hit your ceiling, right?
I can't wait to get that call.
Right? Lucas, you have too much money. We need to open another account for you. That's not a thing.
Nah.
So you have an unlimited amount of ebooks. There is literally no limit to the amount of ebooks. So passive ways that you can get your book in motion are to add it to your email signature, add it to your LinkedIn profile, give it away on your social media, give it away as part of your newsletter. Those are passive ways. People will stumble upon it and they'll go, oh, I want to read that. Active ways you can give it away are to give it to prospective clients. We're going to call those probable purchasers, because if you're having a conversation with them, if you're having a discovery conversation in person or virtually, you can have a book to give them. I like to follow up a virtual conversation with an email that says, would you like a copy of my book? Here's a place to get it digitally. If you would like a hard copy, let me know and I'll send it to you. Very easy. Whenever I'm networking, I'm known for my Mary Poppins bag that has all things in it, including lots of different copies of books. So that when I'm in conversation with someone and they ask for a business card, I'll say, well, I have a digital business card. I also have a book. Would you like a copy of a book? And the face lighting up and all of that is still a thing, right? And then I talked about leveraging your conversations and your strategic partners. If I give you 10 copies of You Must Write a Book and you're talking to someone who's building a course and they say, well, yeah, I know I need a book too. You can say, I have a copy of this book I can send you. And I call that one of the trifectas of awesomeness, because the person receiving the book wins, the author wins, and the person gifting the book wins. Because you got to give something away, yay. Someone got to receive a gift, also yay. And then the author has their book in motion, which is a yay. It is important for you to think about how you can conduct that. Who do you really synergize with in business your book to other people? Who serves the same people that you serve, but not in the same way? You and I serve authors and aspiring authors to do books and courses. So we're not in competition with one another, but I give away Monetize Your Book with a Course to anyone who says they have a book. I'm like, oh, I have a book you're going to want. Here you go. And the reverse is also true. And then those books are in motion. Yes. Well, I mean, I have a box of books. I have 2 boxes of books in my trunk of my car. So whenever I'm going into an event, I'm filling up my little Mary Poppins bag and I'm just wondering who gets the books today. What are those conversations going to be like? And then I'll follow up in a couple of weeks and say, have you had a chance to look at it? What are you thinking? Should we get together? Should we continue our conversation? Do you need more time? Would you like an introduction? All those things.
You know, all these things you taught me about nonfiction, I do for fiction as well. You know, the sharing the book.
Oh.
I think one of the biggest mindset things to let go of is like, I look at the author copies that you can get if you're self-publishing, right? Or even if you're traditionally publishing, whatever agreement you have with your publisher,
Yep.
you have this tremendous opportunity to get these books at a much lower price than what they sell for. So I look at that as like all the marketing opportunity in the world. I'm like, if I spend, like, for example, with the fiction release recently, I on day one spent $155 on a box of paperbacks.
Yep.
It took me about 15 seconds to sit down and count the number of books that I wanted to order. And I think I ended up around 50 or 60 or something like that just for the first order. But one of the reasons to do that is to invest up front that little bit of money that I know I'm going to feel so good about spending when I'm sending copies to people that reviewed the book, or I come across someone out in public that's like, oh, that sounds great. And you're like, I'll be right back here. Right. Like, you're just nurturing goodwill around the book. And I think that there's like this very limiting mindset that says, okay, if I give this book to someone, they're not buying it, I'm losing money. And it's like, no, they're going to read that book and love it, and they're going to go tell 5 of their friends.
Yeah.
It's like, or in the case of nonfiction, you just handed them a glimpse into your thoughts, your way of doing business, the professionalism of your organization, all the things, your depth of expertise. Like, you've just convinced them you really know what the hell you're doing and talking about.
That's right.
How much is that worth to you?
Well, I gave a book to a guy last week. I gave him a hardcover of You Must Write a Book. They're $7 plus tax and shipping. And he is going to do a book with me.
So Renee asked a really good question. Does my purchase, Renee, I'm assuming you're talking about my purchase as an author. Does it help the algorithm? As far as I'm understanding, and Honoree, please correct me. The answer is no.
The answer is no.
Yep, because it's not being fed in from buyers. It's direct author to like, for example, Amazon. We'll just use Amazon as an example. So since it's a direct purchase from author to company, they don't use that to influence the algorithm.
That's correct. Lucas is correct. Ding. I wish I had a bell. Ding. You are correct.
Which is opposite of the gavel, right? I don't want the gavel. I want the bell.
I want the gavel. You want the bell. Yes. But honestly, Renee, that doesn't matter. Because we're not looking for the algorithms in this particular instance. We're looking to create a reader and maybe a client. So in Lucas's case with the fiction, he's writing in a series. He's going to write lots and lots and lots of fiction. So when he gives someone a book, just like with the trilogy that I read the first book, and of course I got the other two books, and I wanted more. So now I'm just on the hunt for another author that writes with this same awesomeness, because I want to read more of that book. So anyone who reads Lucas's book will want to know, right, the goodwill is better. So it plants the seed that they will become a buyer and a lifelong reader. And I'll talk, I have a story about that in just a second. And then from a nonfiction perspective, my $7 book is potentially 2 custom books, because one custom book is $60,000 in the small size. And I was already given a referral. I was already introduced to actually 2, because he wants to do a book. He introduced me to his CMO, who he wants to do a book. And then he has a colleague who's a good friend who would do a book. So if we multiply the cost of the Better Business book, which right now is $60,000, that's $180,000 to my business. And I paid $7, and I didn't even buy the coffee. He wouldn't let me buy the coffee. I was like, can I buy the coffee? He's like, no.
No coffee for you.
No, he bought me coffee. That's the crazy part. And so I took a second book. So I had given him the hardcover. So I took a second smaller book. And so the cost of that book was less than $3. I think it's $2.60. So now I'm $10 in for $180,000 gross to my business, potentially, right? At least 60, right. But most likely it will be many multiples of that from that one interaction where I said, here's, you can have my business card. Oh, we need to get together. But he took my book and he read it and booked a time with me. So I love that you said, don't think of it as, I have this book and I have to hang on to it because it was $3. I paid $3. I can't give $3 to everybody. I hear that all the time. It's like, I can't just give $3 to everyone. It's like, how many books can I buy now to give away with my profit from that one client? So many.
Right.
And so the story I was going to tell you is I have made friends with this wonderful author, and I'm not going to name her because I want to protect her privacy, but she writes prolifically and she hosts an annual event and she has a Patreon account, and her followers, her readers read all of her books. There's a whole, I can think of a couple of other people. So let me use Stephanie Bond as an example. She writes serials, daily serials that are 6 months long. Right now I'm reading the one, Holiday Girl. And the main character is Comfort Ann Joy. That's her name. And it's about this girl who inherits a Christmas shop from her crazy aunt. And she's living in New York and she's got a career and she inherits this Christmas shop. And what is she going to do with the Christmas shop? So it's a little romantic mystery, cozy mystery kind of a thing. And Stephanie's Facebook group, the fans are voracious. And so I started with Coma Girl, and she has all of these serials. I think this is her 7th one. I've read every single one. A couple of them I've read twice because they're just so much fun. A few of them she has in podcast format. Renee knows, like the minute I found Coma Girl was a podcast, I was listening to it. I called her. I was like, you got to listen to this. This is so good. I told probably 100 people And so my interaction with Stephanie and learning about her serials turned me into a reader. So I read her Body Movers series, which is just hysterical. And then I've read all of her serials. And then she has maybe 80 other books that I haven't even gotten to yet. Just super fun. So what you want is on the fiction side is someone who likes your writing and just can't stop reading and tells people about it. What you want on the nonfiction side is expert positioning. And if you write prolifically or you have several books, you want someone to say, I've read all of the books and I've hired you, I've taken your courses, I've joined your mastermind, I've done all the things, right? Every single thing, and whatever else you do, hit me again. That's ultimately what you want. And there are people like that. I mean, there was a time when every single thing that Tony Robbins came out with, I was in it. I was like, Awaken the Giant Within, Personal Power, the seminar, 30-day program. I went to the Firewalk experience and Life Mastery and Wealth Mastery and Date with Destiny multiple times. Right? So I was a one book client, tens of thousands of dollars over time kind of a person. So that's ultimately what we're going for, is to find the people that really resonate with us. And it starts with getting your book in motion, right? It's just one thing. It's like, just get your book in motion, keep getting your book in motion, keep talking about it. And ultimately along the way, you're going to find your people.
Well, and I like that you brought up, some of the ways to do that, giving it to clients, giving it to people that you run into at events, having those copies on you at all times or in your vehicle so that you can always get to them. You also keep a Sharpie or a really nice pen.
Yep.
That's on purpose. And by the way, if you guys ever go with a dark book, I made this mistake once. Make sure you get the fancy Sharpies that have like a brighter colored ink. I have like gold because I published a very dark covered book once. And I was like, you got to sign the inside, and the whole title page is like ink.
Black.
Yeah. So, but one of the things that I think sometimes people don't look at it the same way, but it's absolutely the same thinking, and it's part of the author experience, is advanced reader copies and special signed copies that go out to people that you're rewarding for things like maybe first sets of reviewers, those types of things. I've sent them to people like you and I do this with podcasts, right? Like if someone hosts this and they dig the book and they don't have it, you're getting a signed copy in the mail, all those things, right? I thought of something recently that helped my brain go, oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
So we don't flinch buying Amazon ads and all the things, because everyone's telling you if you're going to sell, you've got to, consider buying ads, whether it's on Amazon, Facebook, wherever. If that's something you're serious about being a part of your marketing strategy, then spend the money. And when you go in there and you do that, almost all these platforms give you an average cost per sale. So like how much you spent on advertising versus how much money you made. And that's to let you know if you're upside down or not, right?
Yeah.
Well, I got news for you, folks. Your couple of dollars per sale is, it's just like buying an author copy for $2, $3, $4, whatever, $7, and using that book as advertising. It's the same concept.
It's marketing. It's your marketing budget.
Same
of which
concept.
You must have some. If you look at the most successful brands in the world, let's look at something like McDonald's. McDonald's advertises every minute of every day, 24/7, 365 around the world. And our children know the 7 closest McDonald's.
Right.
Right? They don't need to advertise. I want to eat out. I want to go to McDonald's. I want a Big Mac. I want some fries. Right? We know where the McDonald's is. I don't even go to McDonald's. I can tell you where 2 of them are right now off the top of my head, just because I pass by them all the time. But you still will see and hear advertising and marketing for those types of entities. And so if it's important for them to do it, it sure is important for us to do it, because we don't have that well-known international footprint. And those authors still do it also.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you think about this as just another investment in your marketing strategy for your book,
Yep.
it's another way to keep it in motion. So not only do ads keep your book in motion, but when you decide to spend that money on an author copy and give it to somebody, I think about that as ad spend. I'm like,
I do
this
too.
is,
Yeah.
it's going to get shared. It's going to go out into the world. Someone's going to enjoy it. That's all I really care about. Um,
Yeah.
so take that one little notch further.
Okay.
I had an overseas reviewer for one of my for my recent fiction book. She
So
left
exciting.
she left such a wonderful review. It was like fantastic. I
Yeah.
screenshotted the review and posted on socials and said,
Yep.
"This makes me happy, right? Thanks for making my day. Look at this great review."
Yeah.
Now that's free social media posting, but the impact of that one post based on her review, plus the impact of her review on Goodreads, and that's going to sell books.
Yes.
So if I go to the post office and it costs me $15 to mail a book to the UK,
And it does.
and it will,
Yeah.
okay.
Right. Oh, I'm happy. I'm so happy to do it. I'm
Right.
so happy to send book mail. And
Yep.
I had all my show and tell this morning. I put it away, but I had 5 different kinds of envelopes that I send books in for the different sizes of books and the labels. And I said, like, go to avery.com and buy labels on Amazon, and then you can make the labels and put your books on them. And I've made friends with all the people in the post office because I'm in there all the time. And they're like, is there, what is it? What do they ask you? Is it flammable,
Yeah.
perishable,
Corrosive. Yeah.
corrosive? And I'm like, I give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. Right. It's just a book, always a book, every time a book. Right. But I go in and they're like, what are you up to now? And who are you sending it to now? And it's just really fun. It's really, really fun to send books in the mail. And I honestly will forget because I just do it so much. It's just a matter of habit. And then someone will go, thanks so much for the book. I got it. I'll write a review for you. I'll write a review. And here's the funny thing about that, Lucas. At some point, like right now, you're like, this person wrote a review and I put it on socials. At some point, you will just be picking a random review of the day. Like the reviews will come so fast at some point. And that's one of the things that some of my really successful fiction author friends do is they acknowledge readers, like the reader of the week or the reader of the day. And they have the person send a picture of themselves with a photo, and then they tell about that person and showcase them on social media, which is really fun. Just really fun. I have my newsletter, which I know you get, and I ask questions in it all the time. And I love it when people respond to the questions. It might take me a day or two to respond, but I love the responses.
I love that.
You can feature me as the non-reader of the week. And be like, and here's Honoree, who refuses to write my fiction because here she is again, not reading my book. Still this week. Don't be like Honoree.
So when I run out of people to actually showcase, I'll just use, look, this is a person who needs this book and won't take this book.
Well,
I'll send her free copies. She'll just give them away.
Take my face and put one of those rubber stamps on it. Like, don't be like Honoree. She's bad. She won't read my books. Be more like Joanna in the UK because she reviewed my book and she's nice. Yeah.
One of the tactics I've seen. I don't want to get away from the topic, but since we're talking about reviews, I'll just give you this one little funny thing. There's a gentleman named Gabino Iglesias, and he won one of the Bram Stoker Award winners this year for a book called The Devil Takes You Home. It's a little twisted. It's a good one. Obviously, a lot of people liked it. It's done very well.
Yeah.
And one of the things he does that I absolutely love seeing on social media is if someone gives him like a 1 or a 2-star review and it's actually a compliment, he posts it. So he'll screenshot a 1-star review that's like, I couldn't get through the first 20%. It was just too gory. He's like, that's great.
Oh, it was too gory. Yeah.
He won't use their name, obviously. He's like, he's not trying to put people out there, but he's like, here's another 1 or 2-star review that I absolutely love seeing, right? And it's just because he can play with the words a bit. But he also does that for books he loves that other people have reviewed negatively. Oh. So he'll find things he likes about other people's work that other people didn't like, and he'll screenshot those and share them to help promote another author. And I think it's just brilliant. It's brilliant.
I love that. I love that.
Okay, so what are we missing? We've talked about ads. We've talked about carrying your books with you and helping other people out that you come across. Are there
Yep.
ways that you use your book? And I'm asking this because I know there's a little answer in here. Are there ways that you use this book in your marketing strategy that maybe are a little less direct? Like, do you share copies with other businesses, other people in your industry, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I have a couple of really strong referral partners, people that are uh, advocates for me and what I do, which is just amazing. They'll be talking to their clients and go, "Have you ever thought of writing a book? You need to write a book." And so I provide them with multiple copies of my, generally speaking, it's You Must Write a Book or Write Your First Nonfiction Book. Those are the entry level, um, the entry to book writing books that I give. I also give them You Must Market Your Book for their clients who are authors. Um, so uh, using your strategic partners to share your books is very helpful. Like I said, it's the win for everybody. So what did Steve say? This is a long comment.
I can't post it on the screen because there's obviously not enough room, but I'll read it out loud. So,
Okay.
excuse my narrating voice, everyone. Okay, so hey, Honoree, I changed my launch date after listening to one of your audiobooks.
Oh,
I was planning on launching in November, and as I was mowing the lawn and listening to your book, you said if you're launching in November, December, come January, you'll be last year's news.
yeah.
By the way, she gave me that advice on my first book, Steve. Hit me like a rock. I'm moving it to January. I then asked ChatGPT when would the best day in January to launch be, and it said, well, you want to avoid Martin Luther King Day or week, so the third week would be better. And Tuesdays and Wednesdays are better. So it recommended January 23rd. So that's what I'm going with. By the way, the Tuesdays thing is a traditional pub launch date
Yeah. You
of the
want to
week.
publish on Monday, the 22nd.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's so interesting. And I'm glad you were mowing the lawn. I'm sure anyone in your household is appreciative of the lawn looking good.
Miss Becky, happy.
Yeah. Yes. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. Yeah. There's
Yeah, but,
there's so many little things, right?
right.
That's why I did publishing PhD, the course, because there are 1,000 things like that in the course that if you don't know and you make a different decision, you might look back later and go, "Oh, I wish," right? If you
Right.
published it in December and you go, "All right, now it's last year's book already," that might be because Tuesday and Wednesday are traditional publishing days, and so Monday allows you to capitalize on the fact that your advanced reader team will have left reviews on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you'll start the week with reviews and be ahead of the other books that are going to be released the next day.
Love it. So when I almost made the same situation happen, and Honoree was very upfront about that with me. So I appreciated that because I was like, oh, you know. Um, so, but Steve brings up a good point that's related to the topic of marketing your business with your book, and that's if you want to launch your book in a way that it coincides with a major event in your business, that could be a strategy that you consider, like a course launch or a summit. Um,
Yeah.
if you want to do a summit based on the topic of your book, you want to incorporate that as kind of a thing. But man, if you're going to do anything where you're launching essentially two products at the same time, the book and a thing like a course or whatever, you're going to need additional time to plan, and you're going to need to have your energy ready for that because it's a lot. It's twice the work. So
Yep. Definitely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Why move to Monday, Steve? We're gonna she'll give you a little insight into
I
that.
answered that. I just answered it. Yeah.
We just moved. Got it.
Yeah.
Some people do for fiction, which is I would not do this for nonfiction. If only because the difference between entertainment and non-entertainment,
Yeah.
right? Most nonfiction isn't purchased to give you something to fill your time with. Some
Right.
people will launch indie fiction at the end of a week so that people who are buying, especially if they're on KU, people are looking for weekend reads on a Friday or a Saturday or a Friday or a Thursday.
Yep.
There's a lot of indie authors that'll release fiction at the end of a week for that reason, but they also incorporate that language into their launch planning. So they have social media ads that are like, or not ads, but posts that are like, hey, looking for a weekend read, looking
Yeah.
for one on KU. and they just
There you go.
yep.
Mhm.
So that's one thing I've kind of noted on the fiction side that doesn't really apply as well at all on the nonfiction side.
Yeah.
Also, I was reading, I don't know if it was Publishers Marketplace, somewhere I was reading that that Amazon tracks the traditional publishing cycle, the trad
Mhm.
publisher cycle to inform their decision making for books, which they should.
Mhm.
For several reasons, but one of which is that there's a very seasonal purchase window that the traditional publishers follow,
Mhm.
and it kind of opens up in September and starts to close toward end of January, early February.
Mhm.
And I was like, I did not know that. So if you can incorporate that into your sharing strategy as well, that might be
Yep.
helpful.
Yep.
So
Knowing
what are
what
we
the
missing?
other kids are doing.
Yeah. So what are we missing, Honoree? Am I missing anything? Have we not talked about anything that was key? Any questions that came up in your presentation that jumped out kind of as unique?
There was a lot about using Chat GPT and AI, and I just said I avoid it like the plague because it was trained by people, and there's a lot of copyright infringement, and there are some class actions that just by virtue of the fact that I've published, I'm a part of.
Right.
And so I avoid it because I don't ever want there to be any problems.
Right.
Also, when you publish on Amazon and ACX now, they ask you, are you using AI or did you use AI in any part of this? In the design,
Yeah.
in the writing, in the description, is AI involved in any of it? And so my answer is no, no, and no. That's just my own personal decision. Everybody
Right.
can do what they want, but I think there are going to be problems. I think there will be, there's always the thing where it's denial, anger, right? So I think we're in the part where there has to be some clear boundaries set. So you either do or you don't. And if you do, you have to call it out. And if you don't, you have to call it out. I think a lot of people rushed when Chat GPT-4 came out. They rushed to like run a bunch of stories and publish them on Amazon. And Amazon got flooded and mad for that reason because the quality is not excellent. But there was also the question around audiobooks and should there be audiobooks and who should narrate the audiobooks and why you should use a professional. But it's just like anything, right? I mean, someone said, well, if I self-publish, do I need an editor? And I was like, especially if you self-publish, you need an editor. You need an editor who follows a manual of style. You need a proofreader who follows the same manual of style. Right. I mean, there are all these things that people go, oh, if I'm self-publishing, I just write any old thing and just upload it on Amazon. And that there was a time when that was true. But now if you don't know which boxes to check and which boxes to leave open and what to put in some of the boxes, including how to professionally publish a book, you're not going to be happy. You're never going to be happy. Who's happy in the back of the plane? You're still going to get there, but you're going to be miserable.
Not
right?
babies.
Right? You're never disappointed when you go first class. You're always happy that you go first class. And I think the same is true with any assets that you're producing as an indie author.
Yeah.
It only costs a little bit more over time to go first class, but you will regret doing it poorly and you will be proud you did it well.
I had that proven to me through someone else, unfortunately for them. Recently, I got to know a fiction author who does not invest a lot of that same energy and financial. Yeah, they just don't, and it reflects in their product, and it also reflects in their sales. Like, there's just no way to sell a book that doesn't look professional and make it happen on a regular basis. To me, that's the repeatable kind of thing really makes a big difference. That's why
it takes longer. It takes longer. It costs more, but we talked about the $7 hardcover book having the huge return on that. The professionally done $3 book that I spent $12,000 to produce, when it was all said and done, has now made, well, I've sold a whole bunch of copies. I don't even know how many copies, but I've given that book out and I have 3 one-on-one clients in process because of that book.
Which is
I gave them that book, right? And so 6-figure net profit from a book that I invested $12,000 in. So I have a 10x return on my on my investment already, and it's a June book. It came out in June. Now that's not everybody. Not everybody has a high priced offering, but let's just say for giggles that I was $1,000 a month coach, right? I did 2 sessions a month for $500, which is where I started in 20 years ago. So $12,000. I've spent $12,000. I get 1 client, I'm even. Every other client I've gotten since then is gravy. So even a lower ticket item, many multiples can be worth it. So it's worth it to just take the time to invest in your book. Even if it doesn't seem like you have the money to do it, then save up.
Right.
Yeah. And then wait. Then wait to publish, because it's better to publish something quality than it is to publish something. Because I had someone say, should I hire you to do this, or should I just go ahead and just do something and publish it, and then I earn some money from it, and then I hire you? I was like, you're never going to make the money from the book that you don't do well. And you want to invest in your business. And so he did. And so we're, the manuscript is well underway. Kent is writing it. It's going great.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, here we are at the top of the hour already, Lucas.
I know, it's crazy. Because
This
we're having fun.
This morning has flown by. Yes. Yeah.
It's not like you have anything going on this afternoon.
I never have anything going on. I'm just sitting on my porch counting my money. Don't you know?
Yeah, there's so much sarcasm in that statement I just made, guys. Like, if you're in the EBM, you'll see more of us today.
That's right. That's right.
You'll definitely hear more of Honoree. See a little bit of me.
Yes, I've got the agenda.
So, and there's some hot seat people.
Yeah.
I get excited when I see hot seats for other people.
I know. I was excited when I sent the email out and I got it. It's like, this is our last teaching meeting of the year, because November will be our wrap, and then we kick off December. So we're in the home stretch.
I don't want you to take this the wrong way, and I'm saying it publicly, so it's not too bad. But as excited as I am for today being the last session of the year, I cannot wait till December's kickoff. Like, I'm so excited. That's a testament to your.
I told you I paid somebody.
I love it.
Signed a contract today and paid somebody who's going to come. So.
I love it.
Yeah, we're 24 is going to be. It's going to be a gas, Lucas. It's going to be off the chain.
It's going to be fat and all that. Someone said to me the other day, it's all that in a bag of chips. And I was like, what? Is it 1993?
Yes, it is.
What is happening?
Yeah. Somebody wrote something like 1929 is the same distance between 1970 and 1929 as 2021 and 1970 or something. And I was like, okay, stop it. Stop it.
Don't do it.
Because 10 years ago was 1988 when I graduated from high school. But it really wasn't.
Someone else graduated that year. It wasn't you. You graduated in like 2008, right? Something like that.
No.
I'll just take some of those big, yummy cookies that we had last time I was in Nashville for that statement. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Those were fantastic.
I ate the last one.
Did you?
I did. I ate the last one like last Tuesday. And I sent Karen a message and I'm like, just so you know, I'm all out of cookies.
I looked like a maniac at the airport. I just want you to know that. I was standing at the airport at like 6 o'clock in the morning with a tinfoil wrapped cookie, eating like a little crazy person. And this woman was looking at me like, dude, calm down. It's a cookie. I was like, I can't go through security with
yeah, I can't take the cookie. So you could have taken it on the plane.
A tinfoil wrapped cookie. It's like, I'm not explaining this on the backside. Because then my fear was they're going to take it out of my bag and go, what's this? And I'm going to go, it's a cookie. And then they're going to go, you can't take this and throw it away. And I'd be like, no,
not the cookie.
So guys, you have any other questions for Honoree before I ruin
the next 27 seconds?
27. You got 20, you get 10, 9, 8. Let's go. If you don't have any more questions, Honoree, is there like anything you want to share with the group on the way out here? Anything going on coming up soon that you want everyone to be aware of? EBM kickoff December 6th, guys. This is your last chance.
Yeah. I've got a couple of spots left for the Empire Builders Mastermind class of 2024.
Go ahead.
I can't.
I'll share it when you're done.
I just no.
It is a strange fact, Steve.
Yeah, that is a strange fact. And also that explains so much, doesn't it? That's so many things. Yeah, so EBM has a couple of spots left for the class of 24. There is no such thing as writer's block, comes out in 10 days.
Got to get that book, guys.
I Am a Writer notebook comes out in November. And then, I'm going to be a slacker for December and January and not publish any books.
Love it.
Yeah. And then fiction.
My next book comes out in January, not December. Okay. Not December.
Don't do it, Lucas.
I'm not. Unless it's a Christmas horror story. Don't put it out in December. January.
I just can't.
All right, guys. Well, if you don't have any other questions for Honoree, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for spending so much time today, sharing all the great wisdom.
Thank you. The feelings are mutual. Thank you, Steve and Renee and Wayne. And I think that's it. I think that's all we had today that we know of. The rest of you who are watching, and you guys are, long-time watcher, first-time caller. You haven't been a first-time caller yet, so we hope to hear from you soon. And Renee wants to know if it's January 22nd.
Is that your birthday or something, Renee?
No, Renee's birthday is October the 21st.
Oh, that's great.
9 days. Yeah.
Now she's saying bye.
Yeah. Well, it's the top of the hour. She's got to go work.
Yeah.
Work. As do we.
Yeah, we do. All right, guys. We appreciate you. If you have any questions for us, drop it in the chat on YouTube. Go to YouTube and jump in there, and that's where we are able to interact with your comments after this. It's easier to track than on the other platforms. Make sure you guys are subscribing. Come back every Thursday. We're here, noon Eastern, every Thursday live. And Honoree, thanks again for sharing all your wisdom with us. From now on.
And you as well.
Thank you very much. Guys, from now on, from this point on, if you wonder why your book's not selling, the very first thing you're going to ask yourself is, what am I doing to put my book in motion? That's it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Okay.